Hello and welcome to the Profit Project interview series, where today we're talking about all things generating growth in business. And today I'm excited to have on the line Matt Alderton from BX Networking, who I've known for a number of years. I know he's going to be able to share a whole lot in this space. Welcome to the call today, Matt.
Awesome. Thanks, Craig. Good to be here.
Yeah, so I always start these sort of conversations with what's the bit of the backstory? And, I know I've seen you do some awesome keynote presentations that share there's a whole lot of wealth of knowledge, experience, and ups and downs of businesses along the way. But, interested to get a bit of that backstory for you to be able to share with the listeners around, what is that backstory and how did you come to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. Well, it depends who's listening, I suppose. But obviously, I have been in business. Well, not obviously, but I have been in business now for almost a couple of decades. So it's creeping on there. And I originally started back in my own small businesses in retail and hospitality businesses, and that had been my background. I'd worked in video stores over a number of years, and I ran a group of video stores they actually had in Sydney based and had about 40 shops. So I ran those for a number of years as their operations director. So I had a love for retail and hospitality and all things customer service. But it's interesting, I thought I was being made redundant. As you can imagine, the video industry, over the years was shrinking, and so I thought I was going to get made redundant because the company was restructuring. But instead of being made redundant, I actually ended up getting a promotion, and my boss got made redundant. So I ended up with his job. But during that time, I thought, what am I going to be doing? What am I going to do if I get made redundant? And so I decided to start looking into running my own business. So my very first business that I started was a Subway franchise back in 2005. And this was during the time that I was being made redundant. I had started opening the franchise and found out I got the job, but I actually went ahead and opened it. So I was working for this company, and I opened my first business at the same time. And within about, I think 2 years, I'd had another 3 shops. And within about 6 or 7 years, I had 9 shops. And then I realized that this is not what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. It was like, it was crazy. I was, 200 staff we had working for us, 200 team members across, 9 shops as well as a head office. And it was crazy times. And I don't know how I got through it, to be honest. It was manic because we grew so fast, and we were, building the parachute on the way down kind of thing. And it was crazy. But I had some amazing people working for me. Of course, nothing goes according to plan. We had some pretty big challenges along the way as well. And that forms, the basis for a part of my story is some of the challenges that I've had along the way, including a business partner who defrauded us, me and my wife and my business of over 750K in a short couple of years, which was a pretty epic situation we had to recover from. But during that time, just spent my, building those businesses, having lots of team, having lots of things going on. I was always thinking of solutions for running the business and running it better. So I created solutions that like IWS, which was another one of my businesses, which was an online rostering and payroll company. Now, I started this back about 15 years ago. It must be about 14 years ago now. And I created that just off the back of the need for my own businesses needing better systems to run them, better transparency across rosters and who was doing things and how much was spending on wages. So I created an online timesheet solution, rostering solution. I integrated with my payroll solution because I wanted to make that easier as well. And then before I knew it, lots of other Subway franchisees were like, oh, how do I get access to that? That's really, interesting. It's, looks really beneficial. How do I get access to that? So I started just selling it. Before I knew it, I was selling it to lots of different people and brought in some team, and then we took it national, and we served. Subway was the basis for the whole model, but we ended up going out across some pretty big franchises like Sombreros and things like that, and Nike Australia. We got some great clients, and now it's one of the biggest rostering and payroll companies, now bookkeeping companies in Australia. Of course, I did the smart thing and I handed over the reins to some smarter people to run it. about 5-6 years ago, and sold some equity down, and also did an equity raise with it as well to build it up and to pump some more life into it. So that was pretty exciting. That's probably one of my favorite, and reflecting on the biggest achievements we've had is where we took an idea into not just a 6-figure business, but a massive 7-figure business as well over just over a decade, which is pretty exciting stuff. And I just learnt lots out of doing that as well. So not only learnt lots from the running of my own shops and businesses, and they were across the Subway stores. I had a couple of video shops and some cafes in amongst all those, as well as the online rostering business and a couple of other things. And I just became an expert in a small business across those kind of how to run and scale businesses. Just gain that knowledge and experience to be able to help other businesses grow and scale. And that's kind of where BX started, because I found I was doing lots of training and education. I went and did some other further education. I went overseas and spent some time with an amazing guy, John Maxwell, who's he's a leader coach and guru and speaker. And I did an online program with his, and I went overseas and spent a couple of months over there with his team and him, training on his program. And then, started educating small business owners on how to grow their business at the same time. That's where BX came from. It just the need and desire that I had to want to help other people avoid the challenges that I've had and lead them towards some of the success that I've had as well.
Yeah, awesome. You've covered off so much in that time. I do like to let that just go, because as you've touched upon there, you've done a breadth of different things, different sizes, different types, different industries. But you did touch upon something that's consistent with all business owners, and I know you're seeing that more and more, obviously, with what you're currently doing with BX Networking as well, in the space of the challenges and also, the wins that people get along the way. You touched upon some of your challenges, but, in that stages of growing businesses, what are some of the challenges that you sort of dig a little bit deeper with, a couple of ones that you've got in your own mind there, but also the challenges that you see that now I know you talk with, hundreds of business owners every week, that you consistently hear along the way?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I think if I took my number one lesson from everything that I've done, good and bad, I would say that being around the right people is the most important thing. I think for some reason, like small business owners, where the expert at our trade craft, that's where our skill set and our gift is, but very rarely are we experts in running a business. In fact, most small business owners have no formal education in terms of running a business or anything along those lines. Yet here we are, we're wearing the HR hat, the marketing hat, the sales hat, the operations hat, the customer service hat. Like, we're wearing all these different hats without any skill set or formal qualification in that, except, learning on the fly, building the parachute on the way down that scenario. And I've been there and I've done that, but I realize that's not the best way to run a business. It's the way to lose money fast if you don't pay attention and you don't build that parachute fast enough. But so surrounding yourself with really good people is probably the number one lesson I've taken out of it. And I know that every relationship that I have, and I'm a firm believer that we're the average of the 7 people we spend the most amount of time with. And that certainly is a no-brainer for small business. So who's your accountant? Who's your bookkeeper? Who's your lawyer? Who's giving you advice? And are they in a position that you want to be going into? So are they living the lifestyle? Are they running the business model that you would like to be running your business to or living your life to? And quite often that's not the case. And when I reflect on it, I always, and even though I've had probably 5 accountants, to use an example, over the time I've been in business, I've always had the accountant that I've been with the accountant I should have had yesterday, and I've moved to the new accountant that I should have moved to yesterday as well. So I was always kind of one step behind the 8 ball. And what happened is my business wasn't growing the way it should have been, and it wasn't being run the way it should have been because I was with somebody that had the wrong mindset for where I was and where I was going. And so the classic example, that business part that defrauded us of over, it was about $750K it set us back, which is a big sum of money, to anybody. And it's my accountant never picked it up because it was totally out of his spectrum of possibilities, because he'd spent his life doing tax returns for business owners, for individuals, not business owners. So he didn't do business accounts. It's just that I'd used him since I had lodged my first tax return, because my mother-in-law had said, hey, he does my tax returns, he can do yours too. And then he took on the businesses, whereas I outgrew him so quickly, but I stayed with him. And that just happened time and time again. And, I've got examples of lawyers where that's happened and all sorts of stuff. So if we surround ourselves with good people who are with us for the right time and the right time frame, a season, a reason, or a lifetime, people are with us. I believe that's the same with the people around us, the experts that are around us. And, that's probably my number one that I've taken out of being in business, definitely.
Yeah, I love that one. I love the season, a reason, a lifetime idea and concept. I just think that's so brilliant, because I know myself in business, and I know we've had chats about this in the past as well, always having a couple of mentors that we're working with at any given point in time, and whether that's a paid engagement or whether it's, a mentoring, coaching arrangement or the like, just exactly what you talk about, having the people around you and for the right time, the right space, and all those sorts of things. And, in the space where you are now, obviously you're seeing a lot of those opportunities pop up, in the networking space, and this idea of building teams around. And it's, we constantly talk about it with, what I do is it's building that financial team around people. It's having the accountant, it's having the bookkeeper, and then it's having somebody like myself that has the profit plan that people can have and really work towards. How do you suggest people go about building their team around them? And, some ways to find those great people. And, might be a bit of a plug here for BS Networking. I know I've been a part of the community for a while myself, but, you do see this on a daily basis where people are sort of building these relationships, building these teams. What ideas and tips do you have for people in that space? And, what are the benefits and outcomes that people get when they do really focus on building these teams?
Yeah. And so I guess it's really fascinating when you look at small business and the stats of small business, and the majority, and this has been 90+% of small businesses, they don't have any employees. They operate by themselves. So it's only the top number, the top 5 or 10% max, have number of staff. So you want to get to that place pretty quick, because once you bring on people, it gives you the ability to scale, and you can't scale without people around you. It's virtually impossible, because you're on the tools all the time. That you're either selling or you're implementing, but you can't be doing both. And you can't be doing both to the max to be able to create those results, which is why that the average small business owner, is earning about 50K a year in turnover. And you think that's nuts. Well, the reality is that, I'm pretty sure that's below minimum wage. And if we're earning below minimum wage, what are we doing wrong? And so I know hands down straight away, the difference we could make if we scaled our business fast. And I think most people go in there without any kind of concept about what they're going to do. They just love what they're doing. They might be a business coach, or they might be selling candles, or whatever they're doing. They're good at what they're doing, but they have no idea what to do first and what to do next. But the key is, with any business, it's going from 0 to 100K as fast as you can. You need to get to that 100K, because that 100K gives you the ability to bring on people. And when most businesses, and it's like 70% are under, $250,000 in turnover, that we know there's an issue then to get businesses up over that 100K mark. So you've just got to have, it all comes down to marketing and sales. You can build the systems around you as you go. I believe there's a lot of things you can build around you as you go. You can implement as you go, but you've got to have good marketing and good sales. So you've got to know how to convert people when they're in front of you. Otherwise, you're just wasting your energy. So if you can't convert people with a sales process, and sales is the act of converting somebody that's in front of you, a lead or a prospect, you're converting them from being a prospect into a client. That's the art of selling and sales. But marketing is the act of getting that prospect in front of you in the first place. And you need to have a system for doing that. You've got to have and be tapping into all the different platforms that are available. And when I say platforms, the pillars of marketing being your online presence, so your social media, your website. Your website should be a lead generating machine. It's not a showcase of your product or service. It is a lead generating machine. But yeah, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, all that digital presence, your SEO, your AdWords, all that forms your online strategy. So you need to have that operating. You need to have a strategic partnerships operating. So what other businesses are you tapping into out there to cross promote between you? Are you tapping into a local marketing perspective? I don't like to call this the old school stuff. So hitting the footpath, getting out there with some letterbox drops or some pamphlets into local businesses, or, just making cold calls. This is marketing 101. But as a new business owner, that's the way to build your business. That's one of the ways, and you should be tapping into that as well. Of course, networking is a key component of your marketing strategy. And I firmly believe that with the right framework, networking is absolutely the highest return on investment form of marketing that you can do. It's about building referral partnerships. It's not about selling to a room of people. It's about building connections to people through the people in the room that are your ideal referral partnerships, who have all of your ideal clients, who can prospect them on your behalf and then send warm clients your way. There is no better way to get new leads than a referral. And then there's no better way to do it through a great referral partner who can be in front of your ideal clients all the time, because they're talking the same conversations that you're talking with your clients. So whether you're a profit first coach, or whether you're you might be a small business coach. One talks, might be talking structure and strategy. You're talking money, how to build wealth and profitability into business. You're talking the same language to your clients, but you're not competing with each other. You can send them in each other's direction on a regular basis. And of course, one of my other favorites is PR and publicity. I can see your award from the Business Awards on the shelf behind you, yeah, which is awesome, which is a form of PR and publicity. The best form is free. So Business Awards are a fantastic way to do that, to leverage off the opportunities that creates and the PR and cred that you get off the back of that, as well as just getting in all forms of media, whether that be through Source Bottle and just, getting positioned as an expert on different media platforms and stuff like that. But, taking advantage of all those media opportunities is huge and a really valuable way for your business. So if you tap into kind of all those different elements, instead of just focusing on one, focus across 5, you'll have steady new leads coming from all those platforms. You'll get from 0 to 100K in months, not years or never, which is the case for many business owners. So that's definitely the advice that I'd be giving people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Some great, even if we just chop that component up, that last sort of little 5-minute grab there, people can just follow some of those step by step. And I know I've got a nice little funnel that sits up on the wall that has kind of each one of those there, and working out the funnel through the system to be able to help grow that. And you touch upon that exact idea. We talk about quite a bit this notion of a business hierarchy of needs, and at the bottom of it is you have to get the sales in the business, and you have to have them before you can do anything else. And then obviously, yes, you can be working on systems as you touched upon as you're working through that, but then you've got to get your profit right, you've got to get your profitability right, you've got to make sure you manage that cash right as to the next level. Then you need to get your systems and processes, and then you can finally get to those higher levels where you can give back to people, yourself, your family, and all those sorts of things, where you can start that giving side of things, which is what many of us start in business in the first place. We want to be able to give so much out there, but we don't necessarily lay the right foundations before.
That's true.
So what you've just touched upon there is, brilliant in being able to say, let's get those foundations right within that. Yeah. And I love the touching upon return on investment as well within that, and highlighting the value of things like the face-to-face and networking and building those strategic partnerships, because wholeheartedly agree that a return on investment, you need to be looking at that side of things as well. So you've given so many great little bits and pieces here. I'm trying to, you've mentioned, you gave one tip and one idea, and you've mentioned that actually a couple of times in 2 different spaces now. If you were to narrow it down to sort of one key thing that you'd love people to take away in trying to grow their business and generate that growth, what would it be?
Well, is this self-fulfilling if I say get out there and start networking? Obviously, I'm a firm believer, and this is why I created my business, was that I knew that relationships were the backbone of creating and developing a great business. But I believe it goes deeper than that, because I've also talked about being around the right people as well. So I believe that it really does serve both ends of the spectrum. One, if you do networking, and it doesn't matter where you do it, I believe that the value proposition, whether you're networking in a chamber of commerce, at a real soft kind of low level networking, where it's just talking to people and meeting people without sort of any structure, all the way through to, hardcore, high-level accountability, very structured networking, like say with a BNI or something like that. It doesn't matter where you fit in that spectrum. You're going to be working with people and talking to people and engaging with people who become your average, and you want to be able to lift yourself and talk and have conversations with people about business. But then on the flip side, you're also going to be helping build connections that are going to create great and long-lasting strategic and referral partnerships, and that's the marketing element of your business as well. So I believe it doesn't matter where you're networking; it is a stepping stone to a great marketing activity, but also helping you develop those relationships that lift your average.
Yeah, I love that, and I'll go back to put your words right back at you as well. It's the season, reason, or a lifetime within that spectrum of the different forms of networking that you can do. I've been across a number of those ones that you touch upon there. There's even just on the online space as well. There's going to be a reason for each of those at different points of your growth cycle within your business as well. And having been a part of BX for a long time myself, it's definitely got an awesome space within that for the right time, right place, right people to come along. So if people were looking to follow you further, Matt, and look at BX Networking World, where's the best place to grab further information?
Well, you can definitely find lots of information on Facebook, but our website, our brand new website, we just launched a whole new brand and website during lockdown. What else are you going to do, right, besides be on BX Online? But we just launched a new website, bxnetworking.com. You can jump on there. You can find out all about us, find all our face-to-face local meetings across Australia, New Zealand, as well as jump on a BX Online. You can come along, check out a BX Online, no charge. Come and check out some networking, get some introductions. And put your networking to the test there as well.
Good stuff. And I do recommend people do check that out. And as always, we'll have all those details and links and all those sorts of things in the show notes that accompany this when it goes out. So to wrap it all up, really appreciate your time, Matt. And, there's so much knowledge there. I'm sure we're going to get you on further conversations down in the future because, there's a whole lot of wealth to share. So once again, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Craig. Great to be on the show.
So once again, that's another great episode and interview with an expert that really knows what they're talking about, help generating growth within their business. And if you want to follow more great content just like that, remember to follow us at theprofitproject.com.au. Till next time, catch you later.